How to understand people faster. Have you ever met someone for just a few minutes and somehow felt like you already knew them? Not because they told you everything, not because they explained their life story, but because something about them spoke louder than words. Maybe it was the way they smiled. Maybe it was how they looked away when certain questions came up. Maybe it was how they treated a stranger. Maybe it was the silence after a simple conversation. And somehow, deep inside, karma, you felt something. Trust, distance, warmth, warning, something. That feeling is not magic, it is observation. People reveal themselves faster than most realize. The problem is, most people are trained to listen, but not trained to observe. We hear confidence and assume competence. We see charm and assume kindness. We notice attention and assume love. We trust appearances, and sometimes, those appearances cost us everything. A wrong friendship, a painful relationship, a dishonest business partner, a broken trust, a lesson learned too late. Because people rarely announce who they are, they reveal it quietly, through habits, through reactions, through patterns, through body language, through the way they behave. When no one is watching, the truth is, people are always communicating, even in silence, even in small moments. You stop confusing performance with personality. You stop trusting words more than actions. That skill changes everything, because the faster you understand people, the better decisions you make, in friendships, in love, in business, in leadership, in life. Today, we are talking about how to understand people faster. Double quotes. Not by judging people too quickly, but by learning how to observe wisely. Because understanding people is not about mind reading, it is about paying attention to energy, to consistency, to behavior, to emotional patterns. And once you learn this, you start seeing people differently forever. The loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. The nicest smile is not always the kindest heart. And the quietest person may understand everything. After this video, you may never look at people the same way again. Let's begin. Most people spend their lives trying to be understood, but very few spend enough time learning how to understand others. We want people to see us clearly, to respect us, to value us, to trust us. But when it comes to understanding others, we often do the opposite. We rush, we assume, we judge too quickly, we trust too easily, or sometimes we trust too late. The biggest mistake people make is believing words are enough. If someone says, "I care about you," we want to believe it. If someone says, "You can trust me," we want that to be true. If someone says, "I respect you," we accept that sentence without studying the behavior. But words are easy. Words can be chosen. Words can be rehearsed. Words can be used as tools, sometimes for connection, sometimes for manipulation. Anyone can say the right thing. Very few people live it consistently. Someone says they cared but disappears when life gets difficult. Someone says they respect you but ignores your boundaries. Someone says they are honest but becomes uncomfortable around simple truth. Someone says they support you but feels threatened by your growth. These contradictions matter because behavior is expensive. Words cost nothing. Real character shows in action. The problem is, most people trust performance, they trust confidence, they trust charm, they trust emotional intensity. They trust appearance, and appearance can be misleading. Some of the most dangerous people know exactly how to look safe, and some of the best people do not know how to advertise themselves at all. This is why people end up in the wrong relationships, wrong friendships, wrong partnerships, wrong expectations. Not because they are foolish, but because they were looking in the wrong place. They were listening to promises instead of observing patterns. They were trusting potential instead of accepting reality. And that mistake can cost years. Years of emotional exhaustion. Years of confusion. Years of trying to fix someone who already showed you who they were. The truth is, people are rarely confusing. We are usually ignoring the obvious, because we want hope, We want possibility. We want the version of someone that we created in our imagination. But psychology does not reward imagination, it rewards observation. People tell you who they are, early, not always with words, but with behavior, with energy, with consistency, with how they respond to pressure, with how they treat people who have nothing to offer them, with how they act when no one is watching. That is where truth lives. Not in perfect speeches, not in emotional promises, but in repeated action. Modern life makes this harder. Everything is fast. Fast attraction, fast trust, fast judgment, fast disappointment. People decide who someone is in a single conversation and then spend years dealing with the consequences. Real understanding takes time, it takes patience, it takes emotional discipline, and most importantly it takes awareness, because awareness protects your peace, your time, your boundaries, your future. Understanding people faster does not mean becoming cold, it means becoming clear. Clear about intentions, clear about energy, clear about red flags, clear about who deserves access to your life, because not everyone who enters your life deserves to stay there, and the sooner you understand that the better your life becomes. One of the fastest ways to misunderstand someone is to trust the first impression too much. First impressions are powerful, sometimes dangerously powerful. Because the human mind loves shortcuts, we meet someone for 10 minutes and immediately start creating a story. They seem confident, they seem kind, they seem trustworthy, they seem cold, they seem arrogant, and within minutes, we feel like we understand them. But often, we are not seeing the person. We are reacting to the presentation, and presentation is not personality. Someone can be charming in the first conversation and selfish for the next 10 years. Someone can be quiet at first and become the most loyal person in your life. Someone can look confident and be deeply insecure. Someone can look distant and simply be careful with trust. The first impression is only the introduction, not the full story. The problem is, many people fall in love with moments. A beautiful apology, a strong promise, a perfect date, a kind message, a confident speech, powerful first meeting. Moments create emotion, but emotion is not evidence. Patterns are. Anyone can perform once, anyone can say the right thing once, anyone can show effort when the reward is immediate, but repetition is harder to fake. Consistency reveals truth. That is where real observation begins. Instead of asking, "What did they do today?" ask, "What do they do repeatedly? How do they behave when nobody is watching? How do they respond when they are disappointed? How do they treat people who cannot benefit them? How do they act when there is nothing to gain?" That is the real person, not the polished version, not the social version, the repeated version. For example, someone may apologize beautifully, they may cry, they may sound sincere, they may promise change. But if the same behavior repeats next week, the apology was performance, not transformation. Real change creates new patterns, not new speeches. This applies everywhere, in friendships, in love, in business, in leadership. Even in self-growth, do not trust intensity, trust consistency. Because intensity can be emotional. Consistency is intentional. Many people mistake chemistry for character. They feel a strong emotional connection and assume that means safety. But emotional intensity does not always mean emotional maturity. Sometimes it means instability. Sometimes it means manipulation. Sometimes it simply means excitement. That is why observation matters. Not how strongly someone makes you feel, but how consistently they make you feel safe. That difference changes everything. Another powerful question is this: who are they when they no longer need you? In the beginning, many people are impressive. They are attentive, present, generous, available because there is motivation, there is curiosity, there is desire. But what happens after comfort arrives? After they gain trust, after they no longer need approval, do they stay respectful? Do they stay honest? Do they stay kind? That is where character becomes visible. Because respect shown for advantage is strategy. Respect shown without benefit is integrity. Psychology teaches us that repeated behavior becomes identity. Habits are not accidents. They are choices repeated, so often they become automatic, and automatic behavior is often the truest version of a person. Not who they try to be, but who they naturally are. That is the version you must observe. Here is a simple rule. Never trust words more than repeated actions. If someone says they care, watch consistency. If someone says they are loyal, watch behavior during difficulty. If someone says they respect you, watch how they handle your boundaries. Patterns answer questions that words never can. And sometimes, the truth is uncomfortable. Because we want potential, we want hope. We want the future version of people. But observation asks a harder question. Who are they right now? Not who could they become. Not who do I wish they were. Who are they repeatedly? That question can save you years. Because moments create stories. Patterns create reality. And reality always wins. Anyone can look good when life is easy. When there is comfort. When there is success. When there is no real challenge. Almost everyone appears calm, calmer, kind, patient, and confident. Politeness is easy in peace. Patience is easy in convenience. Generosity is easy when there is abundance. But pressure changes everything. Pressure removes the performance. Stress reveals what comfort hides. This is one of the strongest truths in human psychology. People show their real character when life stops being convenient. Not during celebration, but during frustration. Not during success, but during failure. Not when they are winning, but when they feel they are losing. This is why pressure matters so much. Because under stress, people stop managing their image. They react, naturally, honestly. And those reactions tell the truth. Watch how someone responds to the word no. Watch what happens when they face rejection. Watch how they handle criticism. Watch how they behave when plans fail. Watch how they treat people when they are tired, stressed, calmer, or disappointed. That version matters because emotional pressure reveals emotional maturity. For example, someone may seem incredibly kind until they feel disrespected. Then suddenly they become cruel. Someone may appear confident until they receive criticism. Then they become defensive, aggressive, or manipulative. Someone may look patient until they are forced to wait. Then irritation takes over everything. These moments are not random. They are psychological mirrors. They reflect self-control, emotional regulation, security, respect, ego, and maturity. Pressure does not create personality, it exposes it. Think about small everyday situations. A delayed food order, a traffic jam, a disagreement with a partner, a mistake at work, a cancelled plan. A long line, a missed opportunity. These moments may seem small, but psychologically, they are powerful. Because in small frustrations, people stop performing, they reveal defaults. And default behavior is often the most honest behavior. One of the clearest examples is how someone treats service workers. A person may speak beautifully to their boss, but show impatience and disrespect to a waiter, a cleaner, or a cashier. That matters because respect shown upward can be strategy. Respect shown downward is character. Another powerful test is failure. Success can hide many flaws. Failure exposes them. When people fail, do they take responsibility? Do they learn? Do they stay humble? Or do they blame everyone else? Do they become bitter? Do they attack others to protect their ego? Failure reveals whether confidence was real or just fragile pride. And then there is power. Power is another form of pressure. Give someone authority. Give them status. Give them influence. And watch carefully. Do they become arrogant? Do they lose empathy? Do they start controlling others? Or do they remain grounded, responsible, and calm. Many people are kind when they need something. Very few stay kind when they no longer need anyone. That is why power reveals character so clearly. Psychology teaches us this: stress and power are truth amplifiers. They make hidden traits louder. Insecurity becomes control. Jealousy becomes sabotage. Kindness becomes leadership. Wisdom becomes calm. What was small becomes visible. This is why you should never judge people only by how they act on good days. Everyone shines in sunlight. Watch who they become in storms. Because storms do not lie. And often, the version of someone you meet during pressure is the version you should trust most. Not the perfect introduction, not the polished image, but the reaction. When life gets hard, that is where the real person lives. Most people think understanding someone means listening carefully to what they say, but some of the most important truths are not spoken at all. They live in silence, in hesitation, in avoidance, in timing. In emotional distance, sometimes what people do not say matters more than what they do, because silence speaks. Avoidance speaks. The pause before an answer speaks. The sudden change of subject speaks. The smile that arrives too late speaks. And if you learn how to notice these things, you begin to understand people on a completely different level. Think about a simple question. Are you okay? Sometimes, the answer is immediate yes, I'm fine. But the eyes say something else. The voice says something else. The long pause before the answer says something else. The body says something else. Words may say fine, double quotes. Behavior may say help. This is where real observation begins, not with suspicion but with awareness. You start noticing the gap between language and emotion, because that gap matters. For example, when someone becomes unusually defensive over a simple question, pay attention. When a direct question receives a very long explanation, pay attention. Not because these things prove dishonesty, but because they reveal emotional significance, and that distinction is important. Observation is not accusation, it is awareness. You are not trying to become paranoid, you are trying to become conscious. Sometimes people lie, sometimes they protect themselves. Sometimes they are ashamed, sometimes they are afraid. Fear creates silence. Shame creates avoidance. Insecurity creates over-explaining. Guilt creates tension. Pain creates distance. And all of these emotions leave traces, quiet traces, but traces. One important truth in psychology is this: truth is often simple. Genuine answers usually feel natural, clear, direct, relaxed, but deception often requires management. Too much detail, too much control over the story. Answers that sound prepared instead of honest. This does not mean detailed people are dishonest. It means emotional. Tension deserves attention. Notice when someone answers a question you did not ask. Notice when they redirect. Notice when they suddenly become overly charming. Notice when anger appears instead of clarity. These are signals, not proof, signals, and wise people understand the difference, because assumptions can destroy trust, but awareness protects it. Another powerful form of silence is emotional absence. Someone may be physically present, but emotionally far away. They reply, but without warmth. They stay calmer, but without energy. They listen. Calmer, but without connection. That absence matters. Because attention is emotional truth, people naturally give energy to what matters to them. And emotional withdrawal usually begins long before words explain it. This happens in friendships, in love, in family, in business. Sometimes the relationship changes quietly before anyone says it out loud, and if you only listen to words, you will miss it. Observation helps you notice reality early, before confusion becomes heartbreak, before disappointment becomes regret, before trust becomes damage. There is also power in noticing what people never mention, what topics always disappear. What truths are always avoided? What conversations create visible discomfort? Sometimes, people reveal their deepest fears through the subjects they refuse to touch. Money, failure, commitment, family, loneliness, self-worth. These silences are emotional maps. They show where pain lives, and understanding pain helps you understand behavior. Because many people are not difficult, they are wounded, not cold, but afraid, not distant, but unhealed. Psychology becomes powerful when observation meets compassion, because the goal is not to expose people. It is to understand them, and sometimes, understanding begins with learning how to hear. Silence, because the loudest truths in life are often the ones never spoken. Before we continue, I want you to stop for a moment and think about someone in your life. Not a stranger, someone close, a friend, a partner, a family member, a coworker, someone you trust, or maybe someone you feel uncertain about. Now, ask yourself one honest question. Do you truly understand them, or do you only understand the version they choose to show you? Because many people believe they know someone deeply when in reality, they only know their words, their explanations, their promises, their polished image. But do you know their patterns? Do you know how they behave under pressure? Do you know how they treat people who have nothing to offer them? Do you know how they react when they are disappointed, rejected, or afraid? Do you know who they become when nobody is watching? That is the real question. Because understanding people is not about collecting information, it is about recognizing truth, and sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we understand the least. Not because they are hiding, but because familiarity creates blindness. We assume, we stop observing. We trust routine more than reality. We think, I already know them. And slowly, we stop seeing clearly. This is why awareness matters, not only with strangers, but with the people we love, because good observation does not destroy relationships. It improves them. It helps you communicate better, protect boundaries better, choose trust more wisely, and avoid unnecessary pain. But there is one area where observation becomes even more powerful: body language. Because before people explain themselves, their body often speaks first. A smile that feels forced, eye contact that disappears, arms that close, feet pointing toward the exit, a voice that changes when a certain name is mentioned. These details are not random. They are psychological signals, and most people miss them completely. In the next section, we are going deeper into that silent language, how body language reveals emotion, how small movements expose hidden truth, and how you can understand people without needing them to say a single word. This may be the part that changes the way you see conversations forever. Because once you learn how to read behavior correctly, you start noticing things you can never unsee. Let's continue. Long before human beings learned how to speak with words, we spoke with movement, with posture, with facial expressions, with distance, with silence. And even today, the body often tells the truth before the mouth does. This is why body language matters so much. Because people can control words, they can choose the right sentence. They can rehearse the perfect answer. They can hide emotion behind language, but controlling the body completely is much harder, especially during stress, especially during fear. Especially when truth and performance are fighting each other. A person may say, "I'm happy to see you," but their body leans away. Their smile disappears too quickly. Their eyes do not match their words. Something feels disconnected. That feeling is often observation. Working quietly in the background, your mind notices signals before your logic explains them. And body language is full of those signals. Crossed arms, tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, restless hands, rapid blinking. Avoiding eye contact. Too much eye contact. Forced laughter, leaning forward, leaning away, feet pointing toward the door. A sudden change in breathing, micro-expressions that last less than a second. These are not random movements. They are emotional information. But here is the most important rule: never judge one signal alone. Context matters. A person crossing their arms may feel defensive, or they may simply be cold. Someone avoiding eye contact may be hiding something, or they may simply be shy. Someone speaking quietly may be dishonest, or they may simply be anxious. Observation without context becomes assumption, and assumption creates mistakes. Good observation looks for clusters, not isolated signs. Several signals together create a clearer picture. For example, someone says yes, but their body pulls back. Their smile looks tense. Their voice becomes quieter. Their feet turn away. That combination tells more truth than the word yes alone. The body leaks honesty. Not perfectly, but often enough to matter. One of the strongest signals is congruence. When words and body match, someone says they are excited, and you can feel it. Their posture opens, their energy rises, their eyes become alive. That feels real. But when words and body conflict, pay attention. Someone says, I trust you, while keeping emotional distance. Someone says, I'm not upset, while their jaw tightens. Someone says, take your time, while impatience fills the room. That contradiction matters, because incongruence creates psychological tension. And tension often points toward hidden emotion. Another powerful area is personal space. Distance communicates comfort. When people trust, they naturally relax. They face you. They stay present. They allow closeness. When they feel unsafe, their body creates distance. Even subtly, a small step back, a turned shoulder, less eye contact, shorter answers, less emotional openness. The body protects itself before words explain why. This is especially important in relationships. Many people wait for direct communication, but often, the body starts the conversation. First, interest, discomfort, fear, attraction, resentment, withdrawal, all of these emotions appear physically before they become verbal. That is why emotionally intelligent people pay attention to energy, not just language. They notice what changed, because change matters. If someone who was warm becomes distant, notice. If someone confident, becomes unusually quiet, notice. If someone relaxed becomes tense around one specific person, notice. Change is often more revealing than behavior itself, because sudden change points to emotional cause. And then there is the smile. One of the most misunderstood signals. Not every smile means happiness. Some smiles are polite, some are nervous, some are protective, some are hiding discomfort. Real smiles reach the eyes. Forced smiles often stop at the mouth. And once you learn the difference, you start seeing social masks everywhere. But remember, the goal is not paranoia, it is awareness. You are not trying to catch people, you are learning to understand them more. Honestly, because body language is not about suspicion. It is about clarity. It helps you become present. It helps you listen better. It helps you respond with intelligence instead of assumption. And most importantly, it helps you trust reality over performance, because words can be edited, but the body is always speaking. The question is, are you listening? And even today, the body often tells the truth before the mouth does. This is why body language matters so much. Because people can control words, they can choose the right sentence, they can rehearse the perfect answer, they can hide emotion behind language. But controlling the body completely is much harder, especially during stress, especially during fear, especially when truth and performance are fighting each other. A person may say, I'm happy to see you, but their body leans away. Their smile disappears too quickly. Their eyes do not match their words. Something feels disconnected. That feeling is often observation, working. Quietly in the background, your mind notices signals before your logic explains them. And body language is full of those signals. Crossed arms, tight shoulders, a clenched jaw, restless hands, rapid blinking. avoiding eye contact, too much eye contact, forced laughter, leaning forward, leaning away, feet pointing toward the door, a sudden change in breathing. Micro-expressions that last less than a second. These are not random movements, they are emotional. Information, but here is the most important rule. Never judge one signal alone. Context matters. A person crossing their arms may feel defensive, or they may simply be cold. Someone avoiding eye contact may be hiding something. Or they may simply be shy. Someone speaking quietly may be dishonest. Or they may simply be anxious. Observation without context becomes assumption. An assumption creates mistakes. Good observation looks for clusters, not isolated. Signs, several signals together create a clearer picture. For example, someone says, yes, but their body pulls back. Their smile looks tense. Their voice becomes quieter. Their feet turn away. That combination, tells more truth than the word yes alone. The body leaks honesty. Not perfectly, but often enough to matter. One of the strongest signals is congruence. When words and body match, someone says they are excited, and you can feel it. Their posture opens. Their energy rises. Their eyes become alive. That feels real. But when words and body conflict, pay attention. Someone says, I trust you, while keeping emotional distance. Someone says, I'm not upset, while their jaw tightens. Someone says, take your time, while impatience fills the room. That contradiction matters. Because incongeruence, creates psychological tension. And tension often points toward hidden emotion. Another powerful area is personal space. Distance communicates comfort. When people trust, they naturally relax. They face you, they stay present, they allow closeness. When they feel unsafe, their body creates distance. Even subtly, a small step back, a turned shoulder, less eye contact. Shorter answers, less emotional. Openness, the body protects itself. Before words explain why. This is especially important in relationships. Many people wait for direct communication, but often, the body starts the conversation first. Interest, discomfort, fear. Attraction, resentment, withdrawal. All of these emotions appear physically before they become verbal. That is why emotionally intelligent people pay attention to energy, not just language. They notice what changed, because change matters. If someone who is warm becomes distant, notice. If someone confident becomes unusually quiet, notice. If someone relaxed, becomes tense around one specific person, notice. Change is often more revealing than behavior itself, because sudden change points to emotional cause. And then, there is the smile. One of the most misunderstood signals. Not every smile means happiness. Some smiles are polite, some are nervous, some are protective. Some are hiding discomfort. Real smiles reach the eyes. Forced smiles often stop at the mouth. And once you learn the difference, you start seeing social masks everywhere. But remember, the goal is not paranoia. It is awareness. You are not trying to catch people, you are learning to understand them more. Honestly, because body language does not about suspicion. It is about clarity. It helps you become present. It helps you listen better. It helps you respond with intelligence, instead of assumption. And most importantly, it helps you trust reality over performance. Because words can be edited, but the body is always speaking. The question is, are you listening? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.